Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Suno Tonight with Saadia Afzaal. We are back with yet another episode of our series Islam and the Modern World. The world is changing faster than we believe. Technology has not only changed our lives but also made this world smaller. The use of social media has brought massive changes in behaviors. It impacted the behaviors of individuals and the roles of the governments around the world. Social media platforms, on one hand, provide an opportunity to the oppressed, whereas on the other hand, it could be used to generate massive propaganda campaigns that lead to the rise of violence and hatred among the societies. Considering the positive and negative impact of social media tools, first example that we can consider relates to the cause of Palestine. Social media platforms highlighted the atrocities of Zionist regime, and the world witnessed the happenings live on their mobile screens. Genocide of Palestinian population has been going on for the last 100 years, but this is the first time that the modern world has witnessed the true face of Netanyahu and his war cabinet. In their acts, there is no humanity, no mercy for innocent Palestinians, and over 40,000 people have been massacred, including 70% innocent children and women. But this time, the youth is aware of the Zionist regime's war crimes. Whether it's American youth or in any other part of Europe, all raised their voice in favor of Palestine. Unfortunately, Muslim nations and their scholars are silent. But this time around, it's Western independent scholars who are raising their voice on the hidden and larger agenda of Netanyahu. It's nothing else but genocide and ethnic cleansing of Muslim population. But this time, Israel wants it at a different level, at an industrial scale, a scale never seen before. American professor John Joseph Mearsheimer, in an interview on YouTube, explained the hidden agenda of Zionist regime and pointed out that the bigger the war is, there is an opportunity for ethnic cleansing, not just in Gaza, but in the West Bank as well. Its ultimate objective is to cleanse the Palestinians out of those two pieces of real estate. Another American analyst, Scott Ritter, in an interview, briefed that Israeli forces are saying that under the Jewish law, raping a non-Jewish prisoner is not a crime. This isn't a bad Hollywood movie, and this is right now happening in Israel. Raping prisoners is no longer a crime in Israel. Israel has become literally the worst incarnation of what we could imagine Nazi Germany was like back in the day. I mean it, and some people say that even the Nazis were not this bad. Of course, the powerful Zionist lobby in the US could not ignore Scott Ritter's interviews. Hence, the Federal Bureau of Investigation raided his home with search warrants on a lame excuse to look for technical devices. The only purpose was to harass the former Marine and stop him from raising his voice against Israel. Moreover, other social media platforms, including X, are providing an opportunity to all the independent thinkers to express their views, which are not allowed on traditional media networks. Similarly, if we consider the negative side of social media platforms, it could be used to create something out of nothing. Recently, we saw what happened in the United Kingdom. Social media tools were used to stir up hatred after the stabbing of 3 teenage girls, which ended up in riots. A 17-year-old suspect, Excel Rudakubana, was arrested. A British-born teenager who is neither a Muslim nor a migrant, but false information on social media about the suspect's origin spread like wildfire, with some falsely naming him as a Muslim and a migrant. He was even named as Ali al-Shakati without any authentic source. The far-right agitators continued to decry immigrants and Muslims, and the very next day, protests led by far-right groups escalated into clashes in multiple towns, and rioters started to target mosques and businesses owned by the minority community, and hotels housing asylum seekers. Now the question is, who prompted the far-right agitators? Well-known far-right figures such as Tommy Robinson, whose real name is Stephen Yaxley Lemon, and the influencer Andrew Tate have been posting on social platforms and spread hatred online. These riots forced the policymakers in London to think what has actually happened. And it was then revealed that these are the think tanks, the paid persuaders and intellectual spear carriers who build these social movements. It's a process known as astroturfing. Astroturfing is when you lead the world to believe that whatever is happening is grassroots and organic. But it is actually a reflection of the agency of the powerful. We look, for instance, at an organization known as Middle East Forum, founded by Daniel Pipes. Now the director of this think tank is Greg Roman, former employee of Israeli Foreign Ministry and the Israeli Defense Ministry. And the same Middle East Forum funded this guy, Tommy Robinson. Another question, what is the purpose of these riots in UK? UK was considering to ban the arms sales to Israel, and all of a sudden these riots took place. These riots were planned by a very clever mind. First, it builds pressure on the UK government, and secondly, its target was the minorities and Muslims living in the country. Now, coming back to our primary question, why we were not able to use these tools in a progressive manner. We remained the victim of social abuse. Why we could not groom ourselves or our youth, and where did we actually fail? This is going to be our topic of discussion today, and to discuss this, we have Dr. Muhammad Saiduzzaman, currently serving as a lecturer and program coordinator at the Department of International Relations, NAMAL. Thank you very much, Dr. Saiduzzaman, for joining us. With you, we have Professor Dr. Tariq Ijaz, Assistant Professor of Islamic Studies, Air University, Islamabad. Thank you very much, Professor Ijaz, for joining us. And joining us from Lahore is Mr. Umair Gulzar, Lecturer and Coordinator, Islamic Studies, Understanding of the Quran and Sunnah, FAST University, Lahore. Thank you very much, Mr. Umair Gulzar, for joining us in Lahore studio. And as always, we have audience here, and we have students from different universities who would be given this opportunity to ask their questions. Starting with you, Mr. Muhammad Saiduzzaman. While we all waited and expected the Muslim states to do something about Palestine, to raise their concerns, to raise their voice for Palestinian people and against Israeli atrocities, which obviously, unfortunately, they chose not to do. They chose to keep mum. But we'll come to those reasons or causes why they are silent. But first, when we look at the Western countries, students there, they have been playing a very positive role. They have been getting, beaten up, getting arrested in Western countries. Then a non-Muslim country like South Africa took this matter to the ICJ. Then again, when we look at our leaders, our Muslim nations, I mean, you will only get disappointed. First of all, the role which social media has played, its impact. I would like to discuss that. Again, US, an ally of Israel, people like Scott Ritter, independent scholars, independent thinkers, they have been raising their voice on social media platforms, especially on YouTube. They have made their own YouTube channels now. They're not looking for traditional media talk shows. What impact has this created? These voices of resistance within the US, an ally of Israel, and especially, how is it helping the cause of Palestine?
Thank you so much for having me. First of all, I would like to express that yes, since October 7, Israel launched an offensive on Palestine, and it resulted in like killings of 40,000 people. That includes like 50% of women and children. This is something very serious, and I think that humanity, this is a sheer embarrassment for the humanity in 21st century, and we are in this 2024, in this modern era. So how the world can allow someone to launch this much offensive and this much destruction, this much catastrophe? Still the world is silent, no doubt about it. So who is speaking up then? it is the common people. Where are they? What are they using? So it's the social media. If we look into the Palestinian people, their role in exposing the Benjamin Netanyahu genocide, the systematic killing, the extermination, the systematic killing of innocent civilians. So yeah, the Palestinian people are using social media platforms. Whenever Israel launch a surgical strike or they do carpet bombing, whatsoever the military strategy is, what the Palestinian people do, they just take their mobile phone or gadget, they create a video, they develop a video, and then they upload it on the social media. And what happens? This has a significant impact. The protest which you are mentioning, like in the streets of London, in the streets of Berlin, and see this Harvard University, the students are protesting over there.
And not only Muslim students, non-Muslim students as well.
So this is very much important. It's about humanity. It's about freedom. It's about freedom of speech. It's about freedom of religion. See this liberal values. And United States of America is, by the way, it is the leader of the liberal values. But it is not taking care of it. We see that United States of America is playing a role which is, let me express and allow me to say, it is hypocritic in nature. These great powers are not doing enough, and still the conflict is unfolding, and we see that with every passing day. Hundreds of innocent civilians are being killed in Palestine. So what is the means with us? What is the tool with us? We need to disseminate the information. We need to disseminate the facts. And social media, which is one of the outcome of this technological advancement, this is for me a blessing in disguise. So we need to use social media to expose not only the atrocities and brutalities that are inflicted or hammered upon the innocent Palestinians, but wherever human rights are violated, we are required to use this social media. Here I want to say one more, I think it's very important to share over here. Mainstream media can be controlled, be that national media, be that international media. It has specific narrative, it has specific agenda, it shares a specific discourse, and discursive strategies are used to construct a certain propaganda which serve the purpose of that elite or that powerful. But social media is for common people, and common people use social media to express themselves, whatever is happening with them, whatever the atrocities are, whatever the brutalities are. So I think that yes, social media significantly impacted on the conflict dynamics in the modern times, and the case and study is Israel.
And it has obviously impacted the public perception also.
Yeah.
The scrutiny of political leaders, their actions and decisions. So coming to this point, coming to Dr. Ijaz, obviously, we have seen the level of intensity, the level of atrocities is unfathomable, no doubt about it. But how social media has played this instrumental role when it comes to exposing or revealing the actions and decisions of Netanyahu and his war cabinet?
Yes, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Of course, what we are talking about, the role of social media in today's time period, and in the recent history, we have seen that the power of social media, how it has brought a big change in various parts of the world. When we look to the oppressed people of the Palestinian Muslims, they are also positively expecting from the Muslim brothers, at least, you see, they should just propagate their voices to the larger audience on the globe. So they are not expecting something from that traditional media outlets, those who are of course being controlled by specific agendas. So they are not having deep expectations from that traditional media that they would also be raising their voices. Globally, when we see overall, you see the world famous world media outlets, those who are being controlled by the world powers, when we just listen their discourses, of course, this is something you see very immoral or unjust type of propagation is going on altogether in favor of Israeli government, and they are being portrayed as they are the most oppressed people. They are being targeted by the terrorist Palestinian people. Different titles, they are being linked with those who are being oppressed in reality. So here we can see, you see, on one hand globally there is a huge amount of money being invested in order to project their own agenda. On the other hand, the role of social media, because it is something which is the voice of the common layman person. So of course they are not having any specific agenda. We as a Muslim, when we talk, when we are projecting the cause of Palestinian people or world over, wherever such atrocities are going on, so as a common, as a layman person, of course we feel as if we are empathizing all those events which are taking place, and this is how you see it spreads around the world through this social media, and then finally you see it has a deep impact over the people, and especially the powers, those who are making plans and those who are trying to legitimize this almost illegal occupation of Israel for the longer time period. They entered, since the time they entered after 47 in Palestine, and then finally they have pushed the people of the rightful people to the wall, and they are claiming as if they are the owners of the Gaza Strip or the other parts of the West Bank alongside the portion which they have already been given by the world power.
Right. And as you also mentioned, Dr. Said also mentioned that mainstream media is not doing much. You know, you will be shocked, students are sitting here, you will be shocked that the discussion, the subject of on their talk shows on international level of mainstream media in Israel is whether a soldier should be allowed to rape a prisoner or not. That's what they are discussing. That's what they are, you know, selling to their audience. Moving on to Mr. Umair Gulzar. Obviously, we have seen social media as a polarization engine also. What happened in the UK is a classic example of the negative use of the same social media. We saw how the social media literally, you know, created a perfect storm for the far right agitators. So how do you balance that need for transparency, and especially in times of conflicts, in times of divisions?
First of all, I would like to say thank you to all of you, and I think so you must added up very scholarly discussion, and you must say that every Muslim and every noble human being is in trauma over the situation or genocide in the Gaza. As you have already mentioned, we should learn this. We should learn this, that the world is totally changing and emerging day by day. Indeed, there is no doubt in it that because of the use of the social media, the whole agenda of Israel has been debunked by the people of Palestine. Without the use of social media, they won't be able to make the people understand that who is oppressed and who is the oppressor, who is continuously violating the humanitarian laws, who is continuously violating the humanitarian laws and other all laws, and who are the true victims in this one-sided genocide. So Muslim students and Muslim nations should definitely take part and should understand the significance of the usage of social media. Without the proper use of social media, we won't be able to raise our voice in the right way. As you have already mentioned, we have recently seen the example of UK. What has happened, just conspiracies are revealed and extended because of the uses of social media. Why? We cannot raise our voice until we know that we are on the right path. We are the one who are oppressed. We have to tell the people that there are 7 lakh homes that have been totally demolished. 3 to 4 lakh people are failing the chronic diseases, and just they are not able to get the better treatment. So if we are using the social media voices in a rapid way, in a global way, then definitely the impact of the Muslim nations can be changed. But this is, as you already said, this is really unfortunate that no Muslim country, even no OIC has played their major role. Rather, South African government, South African people have invested in it, have put their efforts in it to bring Netanyahu and all Israel lobby in the International Criminal Court of Justice.
Dr. Said wanted to touch upon the causes and reasons of Muslim Ummah, Muslim nations being silent. Please go on.
Okay, if we look into it, why Muslim world is not responding to Israel atrocities and brutalities, you know, since October 7, not since October 7, we can trace it back to, you know, it's about more than 7 decades.
Absolutely.
Yeah, 7 decades. So there are 2 dimensions which are very much important. One is intellectual, the other is with respect to capabilities. See, we Muslims had glorious period. We had philosophers, we had scientists like Ghazali, Jabir ibn Hayyan, Ibn Rushd, Ibn Sina. We were the founders of many modern subjects which are being taught in the universities in contemporary times, but then we slept. And more than 1,000 years, you know, it's been more than 1,000 years, still we are sleeping. If you look into the Muslim world, is there any focus on research and development?
No, we haven't produced any Allama Iqbal, we haven't produced any Ibn Sina, Ibn Khaldun.
Yes.
No one.
Is there any focus on knowledge production? No, ma'am.
No.
It's so the reality is, the objective reality is that we are lacking in intellectual capacities, and this is why we cannot respond to Israel. We need to focus on ourselves, and how we can do that? We need to invest time, resource, energies in research and development and knowledge production. This is how I think we can meet or mitigate the challenges of the contemporary times.
As I always say that we all, we Muslims, have this very strong emotional connection with Palestine. There is no doubt about it. But when it comes to translating that emotional connection, that emotional love with Palestine to do something actionable, we fail there. So I think that should be the starting point, which you just mentioned. Yeah. We'll take a break here, and when we come back from the break, we are going to open the floor for the audience's questions right after this short break. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Suno Tonight with Saadia Afzaal. We are going to take questions from the audience now for the panel. First question for Professor Tariq.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Wahid Pitafi. I am from KPK Dera Ismail Khan, and my question is how social media played key role in highlighting atrocities of Zionist state.
Right, Professor Tariq.
Look, the role of social media, of course, our youth, especially Pakistani youth, the students, the university students, they are very much familiar and they are on the front line while using this social media and then taking different dimensions. So in my perspective, I think we need to do more for using social media platform for raising the voice of the Palestinian people, those who are still oppressed. They are facing brutality, they are facing number of casualties. I mean, there is a total destruction of infrastructure. There are very harsh realities, horrible realities, which are still various parts of those realities. They are not before the eyes of the people in the globe. But what we need to just utilize this social media in a positive direction, what my colleague he has just hinted towards this area, that we need first of all to just study the nature of this issue. If we know more about facts about these issues, then of course this is possible that we can of course raise a better awareness for the rights of the people, those who are almost looking towards the youngsters of the Muslims around the globe.
Right, I will take another question. Yes, okay, go on.
My name is Itazaz, and my question is that the maximum role social media can play is to expose the actions and to motivate the part holders. And I think social media has played its great job because everything is exposed, but the Israel looks not that it's not bothered. So what is the reason? Because social media has played its maximum role. What can social media play?
Okay, despite the role which social media has played, you think that Israel is not bothered about anything. Would you like to respond to this, Mr. Umair Gulzar?
Without any that Israel is not bothered at all, even by the justifications they are giving. They are totally baseless. But this is a fact, they are not bothered by the ruling of the International Court of Justice as well. Why so? Because we should understand who is at the back of Israel, or the international powerful lobby is behind them. America is standing with them, UK is fueling them, Germany is standing by their side, and France is with them. So we should understand this is not only in Israel. And if we look into the background, as my senior scholars have already talked about it, we should be able to know that in 1900 they were ready to occupy Israel either by force or either by money. That is why in 1901 first time they offered Sultan Abdul Hamid II for the they offered him that we will pay off your taxes, we will pay off your debt, just allow some Zionists a small area in Palestine. Why so? Because they were conceptually clear why they are doing what they are doing. So you should understand the background, that this is not the matter of 50 years, this is the matter of more than 1 century. They were preparing for it. And as earlier scholars have discussed, we, in my personal opinion, our youth they are not conceptually clear regarding anything. They are not clear regarding their careers. They are not conceptually clear regarding, you may say, their religious beliefs. If we want to change it, we should understand or accept the reality. We should acknowledge our mistakes, and we should try to revolutionize ourselves by today. And if we take this decision today, it will take next 50 years to make up manifestable change.
We are already too late, but at least we have to start from somewhere. Another question, third question for Dr. Said.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Mohammad Umar. I am the student of Namal University. My question is that how can we counter the Western nation in the field of technology?
How can you compete Western
How
nations?
can we counter?
Okay.
Yes.
Yep.
The simple answer is, we need to focus on acquisition of knowledge with respect to science. We need to use rigorous rules and procedure of science to know what this contemporary world is, what this modern world is. So be that space, be that any dimension, any sector of modern educational framework, we need to focus on that. So how we are going to get this? By investing in education. Without investing in education, I'm telling you, we are not going to achieve this task. If you look into Harvard University, Oxford University, you just name a Western country which is developed. So what is there which is not present over here in our part of the world? It is the universities. Their universities are producing scholars, their teachers, their faculty, they are together, they are working together, and they are acquiring knowledge in multiple dimensions, in multifaceted, with respect to multifaceted phenomenon. So the crux is, and the bottom line is, we need to focus on enhancing our intellectual capabilities with respect to new and modern technologies. Without doing this, we cannot do much.
Welcome back to Suno Tonight with Saadia Afzaal. One last question, or I can take one more if I have time.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Mohammad Zuhaib Kiani, and I'm student of Barrier School of Professional Psychology. Actually, my question is that, as we know, when we became atomic power at our time in Pakistan, I'm saying, so very other countries celebrated that we became atomic power, and that's good for and proud for our Muslim nation. But at this time, when our Palestinian brothers and sisters need us, where are our leadership? They are seeing every situation, every point, every time, and they are just not talking about it.
Right.
I want to say.
Professor Tariq.
Basically, here I would just like to quote one of the very famous couplets of poet of the East, Allama Muhammad Iqbal. He stated, "Jurm-e zaifi ki saza marg-e mafajat." When you are weak, when you are dependent, when you are beggar, then of course you see there is no respect for the beggars, there is no respect for the people, those who don't have their objectives in their life. Look, for example, you are graduating from a university, but the objectless study, purposeless study, with regard, what is your role for the progress and the development of the country? But on individual level, we definitely plan and think the objectives of after acquiring this degree. I have to make my house, I have to just take my family to the higher living standards, and we do have certain objectives with regard to our personal life. But what is the dilemma with regard to our national goal? I mean, if the captain of the ship is not able just to take it to that destination, so whatever the treasure you are just having in that ship, it will be just useless. Similarly, although we do have lots of capabilities, our atomic capabilities, and then you see, even, madam, you must have this experience, you just travel worldwide, the competence and intellectual height of the Pakistani youth, that is almost uncomparable with the rest of the youth of the world. But how these types of competences, energies and potentials, they are not being streamlined, they are not being guided. So what has happened, you see, when you are focused, when you enter into your 4 years education, your just one purpose is, you see, okay, after just acquiring this degree, what are the best opportunities for me just to go and then earn for the livelihood, for the sustenance for my family as well. Right. But no other purpose is attached with this degree. Okay, what would be my role for the enhancing or for the goal, that national goal that I am just going to contribute. And similarly, on the larger scale, as a part of the Muslim Ummah, as a Muslim, what is my role that I can contribute for the development of the Ummah, intellectually, psychologically, or knowledge-wise, or whatever competencies, soft skills or hard skills, technical skills, whatever we are having. We are not just going to align those capabilities with that of the noble objectives which had to be defined by the national leadership and the overall the Muslim leadership. Then this big potential, it can also be utilized to achieve those higher goals of life.
I have time for one last question now. Okay.
My name is Awaz, and my question is, why have Arab countries failed to express or to impact its rule to stop genocide in Palestine? And we know that they can impact. And why Israel is so important for America and other Western countries? Like, they know that they are facing heavy criticism, but still they are supporting genocide.
I like the second part of his question. So any one of you wants to respond?
Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Umair Gulzar. Then I'll take last comment from Dr. Said. Go on, Mr. Umair Gulzar.
We have already discussed this is a dilemma. That Muslim world should have played a better role. For example, Kingdom of United Saudi Arab should play a vital role. Dubai can play a vital role, but unfortunately they have done nothing without condemnation. They have just condemned the attacks, the brutality, oppression by the Israel. Why so? As we have already discussed, they are totally dependent on each and every growth of their country. They are dependent on technology. When they are dependent on technology, when they are dependent on technology, they are dependent on USA. Every mining a company in Saudi Arabia and in UAE and other Muslim countries are dependent on them. Why so? Because they are not equipped themselves with the modern technologies. Their youth is not educated. They are not compatible with the youth of other living standards of the Muslims, of the whole world. So the major point is we cannot fight when we are ourselves weak. When we are dependent, as I already said, we cannot fight with anyone. But what they can do, they should do, and they should play their major roles. But their interests are linked with Israel. You may say deep pockets have dynamic effects, and we can see from their role. And you may say the Neon City, you might have heard of it. And there are number of projects are being sponsored by Israel, and they are not aware of it. Being Muslims, we knew it very well in the light of our ahadith that Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, predicted that Israel, or not Israel, Jews are going to counter Muslims. We knew all these facts, but we are not trying ourselves to protect from themselves. Rather, we are opening our doors. You are more than welcome to fulfill the prophecies of Prophet Muhammad.
It's high time we wake up before it's too late. Last comment, Dr. Said.
Since Israel's inception as a state, we come to understanding that they have, the Arab and Israel have fought many wars, 48, 56, 67, 73. And Israel remained dominant. And in those wars, Arab world was led by Egypt. So in 1979, Egypt came to understanding that we cannot fight Israel. So they established peace with Israel. In 1994, it was Jordan which established peace with Israel. And now in contemporary times, if you look into Gulf countries, UAE, Morocco, Bahrain, and there are many in numbers who are establishing peace based on this Abraham Accords with Israel. So what's the good reason behind it? It's the capabilities. Israel has the capabilities, and these Arab countries want their share now. They are focusing on their national interest. So the now focus has shifted from geopolitics to geoeconomics, and this economic strategy is connected to Israel's capability. UAE, Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, Morocco, they are building cordial relations with the Israel. So at what cost? at the cost of innocent
Yeah.
Palestinians.
And
40,000 people, innocent people have been killed. The Gulf countries, I think they have no other options but to pursue the policy what they are
Right.
doing, that is geoeconomics, but at the cost of innocent
Palestinians, right. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining me on the show, and I thank the audience here for your brilliant questions. Thank you for watching. That's all for tonight. Good night and Allah Hafiz.